What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Paws podcast, episode 32. I am here, joined with Jake Gibson, Jonathan Mayer, and we have a very special guest. Jake, I'm going to let you introduce him and take over.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Apology for the delay on my end, but as you mentioned, we have a very special episode tonight. It's episode 32 of the Paws Up podcast, joined along with my good friends and co-hosts Kevin Burrell and Jonathan Mayer. And we have a special guest. I don't think it gets much higher on the hierarchy of FIU guests. We have the president himself, Dr. Kenneth A. Jessell. President, how are you doing?
Good afternoon. Very nice to be with all of you. I'm doing great.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's a busy day today on a Tuesday during the student hours on campus. So we can't thank you enough for spending some time with us, talking a bit about FIU and FIU athletics. So, man, let's just jump right into it. I'd like to start this off with just a simple question. Just I've had some time here as the president of this university. Just what are your thoughts on the current state of FIU?
Well, what are my current thoughts? My goodness, all the great news that has been coming out recently. You know, a week and a half ago, the Washington Monthly came out and ranked us number 19 in the country. Last week, we had the Wall Street Journal that ranked us the number 4 public university in the country. I mean, is that amazing? A few weeks before that, we had Degree Choices that ranked us number 8 in the country of publics and privates, which means that we were behind City University of New York, MIT, Princeton, Stanford, Harvard, and Yale. So that's pretty significant for us. Today, we announced that we are one of the best colleges in the country to work for, which talks about our commitment to students, faculty, staff, and the community in a very, very collegial way. That's one of the reasons why students are successful, that we do everything we can to make them successful, and our employees love being here. And then next week, I think we're going to do well in the U.S. News and World Report rankings, just factoring in the improvements that we've had in our retention and graduation rates. So everything is really great. We are an amazing institution. We did well during the legislative session, thanks to the support of the legislature and the governor. We got $61 million of new funding to help us with our academic programs and support programs. I think we're on cloud 9 right now.
Well, that's great to hear. And yeah, we might be a little biased, all three of us, but as a former grad myself and as current students and Kevin and Jonny, we love it here. We love the campus. We love the culture here. It's great. And we're excited for the future. So let's jump back to the past for a second. Okay. When you became the interim president of FIU, what were your initial short-term goals when you took up the mantle? And looking back, how do you think you've done regarding them?
So when I first started, it was obviously a difficult time for the university. So first and foremost, I wanted to reassure our faculty, our staff, and our students, as well as the community, that FIU is here for them. We always have been, and we always will be. So I wanted to bring in that stability. And then I wanted to focus on the finances of the university to really hone in on our strategic objectives. I think we were very successful, not only in the first year, but more in particular, as I just mentioned, this year in the legislative session, we received $61 million of operating funds for the institution, which is the largest amount of funds we have ever received in one legislative session. But bringing the community back together, focusing on what is important, and that is the success of our students, the research that we're doing, and our support of the broader community was first and foremost what I wanted to achieve. And I think we weathered the storm very, very nicely. And just seeing what's been happening over the last several weeks with the rankings, we know that doesn't happen overnight, but we didn't lose steam. We didn't take our foot off the pedal because of a small challenge, and we made it through.
Yeah, so just moving on. Obviously, you spent some time as Senior Vice President for Finance and Administration. Just how did that help you kind of prepare yourself for the next chapter of your time at FIU now being the president?
Well, the good thing is I've had right now, 40 years of higher education experience in the State University system of Florida. I spent 26 years at our sister institution to the north, Florida Atlantic University, where I started off as assistant professor of finance and then held several other key leadership positions within the College of Business and at the university. And when I came here in 2009 to join the Panther family, I was serving as the CFO of FAU. So that was my initial role here. I think having the broader experience, both academically as well as administratively, really helps as a university president. I think presidents have to be well-rounded today. You have to be able to know the finances. You have to be able to know the academics. You have to know the research. You have to know the community. You have to know the political structure. And it's just an extra plus having both an academic and an administrative background.
And I'm going to add to what Kevin said. Going back, you went to Florida State, you got your bachelor's and master's there. Talk to me about things that you learned at your college time and took that to now as the president of FIU.
So I think everything that I learned in college contributes to me today. I was a first-gen student in college, so I'm the first in my family to attend college and graduate from college. And luckily now I'm not the last to do that. It's been more of a tradition with other family members. My own children are college graduates. So the entire educational experience at Florida State really contributed to me as an individual. And it wasn't just what I was getting in the classroom. It wasn't just my interactions with great faculty members, but also the extracurricular activities that I was involved in. Many of you know that I was in a fraternity, Phi Gamma Delta, Fiji. I'm a strong believer in the Greek system, but it doesn't have to be a Greek. It could be being in the marching band, being in the chess club, being in SGA, being in athletics. There are so many different things that you can do as an individual to really become engaged and to grow yourself as an individual and as part of a larger community. And I think that's what college is all about, not just the academics, but broadening our perspectives. Information changes over time. We used to talk about the doubling of knowledge in centuries and decades, and now, it's years and months in some cases, even less. And so you want to have the ability to be a critical thinker, always learning, always teaching others and mentoring them. So it's a broader experience.
Let's kind of talk about the brand now moving forward. Obviously, you guys are doing something new almost every couple weeks, maybe every couple days. What's next for FIU? Obviously, you guys are building a lot of new buildings. I believe it's the engineering one. What's the next big project you have in store here at FIU?
So we just have so many things that are happening. Yes, on the facility side, that we have Engineering One. That is under construction. That will be opening in about a year, a little bit less than that. So we're very, very excited about that. That is probably the most prominent location on the FIU campus. And the number of cars that go on 107th Avenue and 8th Street every day, that in itself is going to be a natural way of increasing our visibility. We have the chapel on the east side of campus. You will have noticed the loop road on the east side of campus has been under construction for about 8 or 9 months. We have a great site there for a chapel. We'll be doing the Graham Center expansion in a couple of years. We have a second engineering building that is already in design that will be adjacent to Engineering One. And we're always innovating our curriculum. We want our curriculum to be cutting edge. There was an article out a few weeks ago on what we've done with calculus, and we've done that in many of the other gateway courses. We're not teaching calculus as if you're a math major, but we're teaching calculus to give you the skill sets that you need to be successful in your careers. And more active learning and getting student involvement really improves the pedagogy. So students learn a lot better, and they're able to retain that knowledge a lot better and a lot longer. So that helps them in the progression of their courses. I think every day there is something new going on at our university. It's the most vibrant university that I have ever been involved with, both as a visitor and as an employee. And I think that part of it's just the nature of Miami. I mean, we're always in the hustle and bustle, and we like things to happen, and we like things to happen very, very quickly.
And then just looking, I'm sorry, Johnny, just looking over, obviously you guys opened a new restaurant very recently. I think it's in the Graham Center. Just
Salty Donut, there it is.
Yeah, what can we expect next?
Well, the Salty Donuts just opened up in the Graham Center, and then and by the way, as you're right, they're very, very healthy. All of that is Brussels sprouts, and they just do a little food coloring, and it's delicious. Someday they'll be able to do that, but they are amazing donuts. But we did the Auntie Anne's pretzels and cinnamon buns that are over in PG5 and in the library. If you have a chance to try some of those, they're absolutely fantastic.
I got some today.
Mia Shack.
Hey.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Over in PG5, that's pretty amazing. And then at Vicky's, at BBC, we have Vicky's and the Sia Bowls opening up there. That's really amazing. So we try to refresh. We get a lot of student input. Sometimes things are very, very successful, and some things not so successful. We did the Caribbean a couple of years ago, but that didn't work out too well. So we want to get the input from the students, because at the end of the day, you are the bulk of the consumers in our food courts.
I can tell you, Johnny and I are there on campus almost every day. We try to get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw that FIU News had mentioned not that long ago that this online website Niche ranked FIU in the top 10 best food options in the country for universities. So I think that's a really big honor, and I think Kevin, Johnny, and I will agree to that ranking, no doubt about it.
Our innovation too is very important. In Parking Garage 5, as you know, we had the food court there.
Yeah.
With Chick-fil-A and many others. When that opened, it was so innovative. It was ranked the #1 food court in Miami.
Wow. It makes sense. You take the elevator down and it's right there.
Exactly. You park, you could take your classes right there. You could have breakfast, lunch, and dinner and never have to leave that one spot.
I have a class there.
We want to get you in the center of campus, so we don't want you to stay in one place.
Nah, that's a good idea.
And President, I want to ask you more about the student life, and obviously where I am at Tamiami Hall, it's grand. Talk about the student life, and if you're maybe trying to expand a little bit more and getting more students on campus. And obviously it's grown over the course of a decade now.
Right. Absolutely. We want to provide the best collegiate experience, as I mentioned before, and part of that is making sure that students are engaged in all different types of activities. And the best way of doing that is being on campus. When I first came to FIU, that was one of the key priorities, was building up the housing stock for the university. So we did Parkview Hall, which was state-of-the-art. It's still state-of-the-art 10 years later. And then we did Tamiami that opened up last fall, which is an amazing residence hall. I mean, you can't say it's a dorm. It's really a residence hall. And to me, it's second to none. I mean, you see these types of apartments over on Miami Beach. I mean, let's face it. Our students want the best. They deserve the best. And we believe we're giving them, the best. You've been out there to the football game, so you know what we're doing in terms of engaging that area. It was very deliberate for us to relocate the road to the south side of Tamiami Hall and take the existing road and make that a beautiful promenade that could be used for tailgating and other gathering spaces. I was there Wednesday night where on the way to the women's soccer game where we beat Miami. We had an event. Yeah, exactly. We had an event for housing students, and it was rocking. So I stayed there for just a few minutes. Then I went over to the game, and on the way back from the game, I stopped in again for about 30 minutes, just walking around with the students, and you could see how engaged they were. We start off the semester with first night. That is a new tradition. We did it last year. We did it this year. This year was even bigger and better. And next year, it's going to be even more grand. So we think about things that we can do differently to improve the experience. The convocation that we did this year, I mean, it was standing room only. We were oversubscribed to that. So getting students involved from the very, very early stages of their time here at FIU is really important in maintaining that allegiance to the university. And that translates beyond the 4 years that they're here, because they're really going to be alumni for much longer than that. And so if you have a great experience as a student, you are going to be a great alum. You're going to be contributing back financially. You're going to be meeting with students and helping them prepare for jobs. You're going to be giving them great jobs and helping them create the best jobs in our community. So we're all in on engagement. So I'm going to be really focusing on that. I want all the Greeks to be out there. I want all the student groups to be out there for homecoming. And it just builds that camaraderie and that excitement.
All right, so President Jessell, let's go back a bit. You had mentioned this, and it's such a massive story for FIU that we got to talk about it a bit more. The nationally ranked 4th best public university in the country. I believe it was from a Washington.
Yeah, that's Wall Street Journal.
Wall Street Journal. Yes, Wall Street Journal. So number 4th in the country, FIU is. As far as public universities go. Overall, are you satisfied with the ranking? I mean, FIU is sitting pretty next to Ivy League schools and whatnot, and not to mention other colleges in the state of Florida. And just how impactful do you think it'll be to keep on mentioning that for new students coming into FIU and just the look of the university in the future?
Well, that is very impactful. We've always known how great FIU is. We've always known it.
Yeah.
You even said it, Jake. You said, we know how great FIU is. Now the rankings are finally starting to catch up with our actual quality. The good thing is the rankings are now paying more attention to student performance and student outcomes and less on the inputs. Instead of looking at, well, what was the SAT score? Let's look at how well our students graduate. Let's look at the jobs that our students get when they graduate. Let's look at their salaries 5 years out or 10 years out to see how well they're doing. I had mentioned Degree Choices that looks at all publics and privates, and they do a payback of not only the cost of the degree and how quickly you pay it back, but also how our salaries, the graduates of our university, compare to the salaries of all other college graduates 10 years out. Because you could do a cheap degree, but is it a quality degree? And that's where FIU really shines, because all of the universities in the state of Florida have pretty much the same tuition structure. But 10 years out, we excel, we really shine, and that's why we were ranked number 8 in the country, behind some of the Ivy Leagues. So this is very, very important for us, and we're going to capitalize on it. You're probably seeing now on our website, number 4, you're seeing the billboards, number 4.
On the turnpike, yeah.
Yeah, all over. And I am getting emails and texts and calls from friends and family members throughout the country congratulating. And I keep hearing, God, we had no idea. We didn't know. Now people are starting to take notice. And when you look at the outcomes and how well our students do, and not pay so much attention to what the SAT score, or in the case of law, what the LSAT score was, you say, oh my God, what a tremendous value. What a tremendous quality education that you're getting for a very, very small price. And there's no better place to study than in Miami. There's no better place to live than Miami. So this is really big. This is big for our brand. But more importantly, it's a recognition of the great job that we do.
Yeah, so let's talk a bit more about that brand, right? Something I've noticed, and Kevin and Jonny, I think you both will attest to this as well, is the abundance of stories regarding FIU that are being more and more popularized, not just on FIU's 500 social media accounts on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and whatnot, but also just in local news stories here for CBS 4, Channel 6, Channel 10. And then nationally and even globally, more and more stories are coming out from FIU about all of this. So that FIU brand, what plans do you have on expanding it further for the future? And how excited should we be to see those results?
Well, you should be, very, very excited. We know it's going to be expanded. Reputations take a long time to build up, and you're starting to see it now. We have always done great research, and now people are taking notice of the great research that we're doing, because we're doing research that is very important to the lives of many people. The work that we're doing in sea level rise, the work that we're doing in sea mammal, research, the things that we're doing with respect to hurricanes and storm surge. We have the wall of wind that does all types of product testing. And this helps our communities. I mean, the biggest challenge we're going to be facing, not only locally, but nationally and internationally, is global warming. Regardless of the cause, we know that the oceans are getting warmer. And what does this mean to our ability to sustain the environment, to have resilience to these types of challenges, to address the health issues? A few weeks ago, you may remember, every day in the news, they were talking about the heat index. And people worry about the heat index. When you have a natural disaster, they're looking at their homes being flooded or demolished. There are health aspects associated with that. So we're doing all of these great things that tie in to path-breaking research that impacts our community. So it's going to get out there day in and day out. And by the way, we are investing in making sure those stories get out there. So we have a great team in our governmental relations and external relations group, strategic communications, we call it. So we're focusing on getting those stories out, because we know people are interested in those stories.
Wow, that's definitely something to look forward to for the future of this college. Kevin, that was a lot of information. Let's take a quick break, if you will, a news break.
News break,
Kevin. Yes, this is the Paws Up Podcast news break. Your look at some of the biggest stories in FIU athletics and just FIU in general. So let's get right into it. Starting off with FIU football. Running back Keyshawn Owens has been awarded Conference USA Player of the Week honors after his performance on Saturday against the North Texas Mean Green. Owens set some career highs in that game, rushing for 101 yards off of 10 carries and 3 touchdowns. He is now the second Panther in a row to receive the award after wide receiver Chris Mitchell earned it after his performance against Maine. Likewise, we move on to women's soccer, where FIU goalkeeper Ithaisa Venoli was named the Conference USA Goalkeeper of the Week after shutting out those Miami Hurricanes this past Thursday in the 1-0 win. Venoli has started in every match so far for the Panthers and has racked up over 30 saves already in this very early season. The Panthers have a 5-2-1 record and will host UTEP this upcoming Sunday at 11 a.m. Finally, FIU volleyball has announced which games this season that they will be giving away FIU swag in the form of giveaways to students at the Ocean Bank Convocation Center. The full list is on the FIU Athletics website, but some notable dates include September 16th, in which 100 white FIU shirts will be given away as the Panthers take on Indiana. On October 27th, as FIU hosts Jacksonville State, students and trick-or-treaters can receive some candy and another themed FIU shirt. And this is one of the most fan favorite items when it's given away. On November 10th against New Mexico State, students can receive an FIU digital camo hat. That's just a very hot giveaway here at FIU Athletics. So definitely some matches for volleyball to look forward to and some gifts for the students. So that was your very brief look into the news break. So let's move a bit on to FIU Athletics. Kevin, take it away.
Yeah, President. One of the reasons we started this podcast was to talk about FIU athletics, so it would behoove of us to talk about it, and just obviously Scott Carr, second year, a lot of turnaround there. He's done an excellent job for since the get-go. Just what are your thoughts on the state of FIU athletics?
Well, I wish I would have recorded Jake's news break, because that really sums it up. We are doing an amazing things in athletics. We can start with football. I mean, we had a great win against Maine right here in the cage. And then over this past weekend, North Texas was a wonderful, wonderful win and one of the highest scoring games we ever had. Our first game against Louisiana Tech, that could have gone either way. I mean, we were holding our own. We dominated, the first half. So we performed very, very well. So we've kind of got our running game good. We've got our passing game, and now running and passing are really in sync. So I'm very, very happy with the performance there. You talked about, soccer. Our women's soccer team is, I think, 5-2-1. Right, so they've had some great showings. Coach Donovan's done an amazing job. Kyle with men's soccer, some great wins there. I know that's going to do even better going down the road. So I'm very, very excited about FIU athletics. We have more sports coming up. We've got basketball coming up.
Yeah,
it's amazing. We are doing very, very well, and we're seeing the fans out there. When I've been to the soccer games, we have a lot of FIU Panthers in the stands. We had a great showing with women's soccer against UM. I mean, we really filled the stands. But both are getting a lot of students and other supporters. For football, when you think about Maine, we did that during the Labor Day weekend. Right? A lot of people are away. And yet the stadium was very, very full and exciting. So it's not just the number of people that are there, the excitement that is generated for the people that are there. So I'm very happy.
Hey, especially that the teams are winning. I mean, that's the biggest thing. FIU, 2-1 start, best start since 2018. They have a chance now to go to UConn, have the best start since 2017. 3-1.
Winning solves everything.
Winning solves a lot. Yeah.
So looking more into FIU, FIU football, as we had mentioned, a 2-1 record, just had a premier win against North Texas. President Jessell, just what players have really stood out to you so far from this FIU football team, and not to mention all the hype that has been being generated, not just from the winning, which is awesome, but also from the uniforms, right? Those Vice unis blasted off on social media, and then you had the Biscayne Blues in that game against North Texas. Those took off too. Just what are your thoughts on all this this publicity the football team?
So number one, I met with the football team just before the start of the semester. They had a Friday practice, and I went out and talked to them. Every player is important. Right? It's not an individual sport; it's a team sport. So I'm so proud of all of them. They are all my favorites. We have some big names that have come in, a lot of publicity. The quarterback's been doing great. Kicking's been great. I mean, it's an exciting time. It couldn't be better. The Biscayne blue uniforms were amazing. The number of comments that we received, I heard from reliable people, so I believe it's the truth, that as they were unpacking the Biscayne blue shirts in the bookstore, they were selling out immediately. People were taking them out of the boxes before they could be even put up on the racks. So that's pretty exciting. And of course, we have the Vice uniforms that will be coming out. There's been a lot of hype about that as well. I think doing these types of things really creates additional excitement and change and just great visuals and things to talk about and get excited about, rally around the flag about.
And I know
What's your favorite jersey? Which one's the better one, Vice or Biscayne Blue? Which one would you prefer?
Well, I haven't seen the Vice in person. I did a tour of the locker room about a week ago, I guess. They were doing a tour for the President's Council, and we asked to see it, but it's under lock and key. They would not show us that uniform, so it's got to be pretty special.
Wow!
We'll wait October 11th.
That's wild.
It's a big deal. That's a big deal for them.
It is, and you don't want it out there early.
Well, I want to also talk about President. It's talk about soccer. Both programs. I mean, unbelievable starts. The men's third-ranked program. You got the women's. They're on their best start in over nearly 30 years. And I know you were out to both both, teams past couple weeks. So talk about, excitement for those programs and how much you've enjoyed, really seeing the pro soccer programs being rallied with all the fans. I mean, it sells out every night, when they pack the stadium here.
Yeah, it really does. And that excitement, I mean, let's face it, these are our students. They are students first, athletes second. So they're out there supporting our FIU. It's not just a game, it's an experience. It is a memory. And we should all be out there enjoying it. Even if you don't like sports per se, just being out there and being with your friends and family members and seeing that excitement, that's something that will carry with you for the rest of your lives because you just had a great experience. And that's what our athletes are doing day in and day out, just like our students in band or our students that are working in labs, working on experiments. They're creating something that is very special, and we need to support them. And It's nice to see, as you mentioned, they really are sold out crowds. And I think all this excitement with Messi, that's really getting people interested in soccer. It was never a big sport when I was growing up, but honestly, it is a very exciting sport, a very fast moving sport. And I think people like that. So I'm happy to be out there supporting the teams.
Are you bringing Messi soon?
Yeah, Messi and FIU collab would definitely go hard. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think it would be great. Maybe we can get him to come in as a guest or something.
Yeah,
I don't think he can play for us, but
Messi, if you're somehow watching this, I mean, vamonos, let's do it, okay?
Yeah. Obviously, President. Obviously, we spoke a little soccer, football. Let's talk basketball. If you want to talk about both programs a little bit, men's obviously coming off a Conference USA tournament loss, but nonetheless still a pretty good season for the most part. Arturo Dean's one of the best freshmen in all of Conference USA. Yep. He's going to be a big piece for this team moving forward. And Coach Ballard always doing a great job. Just talk a little bit about men's and women's program.
Yeah, I think they're doing great. It was a loss last year, but Jeremy has really done a lot to motivate those players. And I can see how he relates to the athletes, how he motivates them, encourages them to do their best. I think we start off in November for basketball. So I'll be out there for the opening game here at FIU. I'm positive they're going to have a great season, and the same with women's basketball. We've got great coaches, great players, and the more we can get fans in the arena, the more excitement there is. And obviously you want to do your very, very best. When you see people there that are supporting you, encouraging you, cheering you on. I mean, the band is out there, the pep band, really generating that excitement. And that's what it takes. You want to have a great product on the field or in the arena, but that whole experience just adds to it. That's part of the great product.
And like what you said, President, is, these are students first, and they're working so hard day in and day out. They're, on the field in the morning, then they have class in the afternoon. They're doing homework. They're getting recovery. So they're putting so much work in it, and it's our job as students to see them, on the field and see them, shine and, and what they're good at.
Right. And we get probably more publicity from athletics. I mean, almost every day in the paper, you're going to see an article about FIU athletics. You couldn't pay for that if you had to, right? So it's good for PR. It's good for the brand. It's good for the excitement of the university. So go out there and support our student athletes.
You heard the man.
And as Scott Carr would say, join the Panther Club while you're at it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Buy your tickets.
Tour, ain't it? Yeah. So let's talk a bit more about Scott, the man, the myth, the legend, the AD of the FIU. Still call them the Golden Panthers. President Jessell, how has it been working with Scott to build the brand and to get the name FIU Panthers into the ears of those who are unfamiliar with it, to get alumni and students and fans into the stadiums, and to just lead the way for the Panthers in all sports? What's it been like working with Scott?
Well, I will tell you that when the university was searching for a new AD, I was part of that search process and the selection process. And I knew right when we interviewed Scott that he was the right person for the job. He loves FIU. I mean, he knows Miami, he knows Florida,
Mhm.
and he works day in and day out to support our program. He supports the athletes, he supports the coaches, he supports the support staff, all the trainers, everybody that has a role in athletics, all of the fans, the community members, and he does it in such a professional way. I don't know how he gets all those hours in. I'm happy to see him at every event. I don't think that I've ever gone to a sporting event where he hasn't been there cheering on the teams. His wife comes to the games. His daughter comes to the games. In many ways, I'm getting 3 for 1, and I only have to pay for 1. So you don't get a better value than that. He just brings a whole different element of excitement and expertise to our programs. And everyone that I have talked to that has interacted with Scott comes back with a very, very, very favorable opinion. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have seen a greater return of alumni at our events.
Mm-hmm.
They respect what he's doing. They know he's committed. They know he's dedicated. They like the fact that he meets with them, he talks to them, gets their ideas. I mean, if that's a winning combination. That is a winning combination, because you can get the great ideas, but unless you have people that are going to support you in making it happen, it won't happen. So he does that.
Obviously,
So we're keeping him.
Let's go. Obviously, we're
Yes, let's go. Keeping him. Let's go. That's some lights out news. That's some lights out news.
Lights out! Lights out!
not the greatest placement, Jake, but I'll give it to you. You have to slip it in there.
And to Scott's credit, he was hired late in 21. We hired the football coach. I was involved in that process as well, and then I became the president. So I was able to work very closely with him as CFO and again as president. I hope he would tell you that it was a seamless transition.
Obviously, we've spoken to Scott a lot through this podcast, twice in person at all the events he goes to, as you mentioned. And one of the things we've spoken about is how to get fans in the seats. He obviously gives us how he's been doing it. How have you worked with Scott Carr to get fans to games of its students, even people that have never gone to FIU and want to watch, a competitive team, a football team right now who is probably having its best season in a long time?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a combination of things. Number one, Scott is on my executive team. So he meets with all the other vice presidents and me every 2 weeks. And sometimes it's every week when we have executive meetings. And that's important because you can't do it yourself. So if there are certain things that he would like to accomplish, that you're going to have to get the CFO involved. That you're going to have to get our branding team involved. You're going to have to get our student affairs team involved because it takes all of these things together to make a great experience. Yes, as I've mentioned before, you have to have a great product on the field, in the court, wherever, in the pool. That's very, very important. And we have that. We have to convince people to get in there, and that's by doing a great overall experience. If you have a great team, but you're not enjoying the excitement of the stadium, you're not having good food, you're not having the tailgating or the opportunities before and after the game to interact with your friends and family members. If you have a problem with parking, it's not going to be a good experience. So we're trying to look at every aspect of a quality experience, something that leaves a memory, and say, what can we do to improve it? And we're trying to be more strategic in terms of when we're doing the scheduling, not only for the events themselves, but just recently we were talking about Saturday. That was the same weekend as Sorority Rush. And we would have had probably another 1,000 individuals in the stadium. So we're trying to figure out ways of having the best coordination of schedules so you don't have competition for the same space. Because people would have liked to have gone to the game, but because they only had one opportunity to go through the Rush program, that they had to make a tough choice. So we don't want to make them make a tough choice. We want to make sure that they have the opportunity to do all the things that they want to be doing. We just opened up the stadium kitchen.
Yeah.
Right on the south side of the stadium, so it's delivering better food, hotter food, a greater variety of food. Because right now that food is prepared right there at the stadium, as compared to preparing it in the Graham Center and carting it over. And that has made a big difference in terms of the concessions that we have. The band, as you know, is out there
right?
for all the games. They participate in before, during, and after, and that really contributes as well, right? So even if the game wasn't exactly what you liked, to have that great music and that great entertainment is something else that you can enjoy. So we look at all these things, and Scott has some great ideas of what's worked for him in the past and things that we can do better. So we've been planning homecoming, months and months and months on what we're going to be doing just to build up that excitement and experience.
What can we expect for homecoming? Any sneak peeks?
Win.
Okay, well, I like that. That's I'm down for that.
That's the most important one.
Right.
And we'll have all kinds of student events, all kinds of alumni events. We bring back our retirees for a retiree luncheon so they can come back to the university. That's really what it takes. We have 300,000 alums, about 270,000 live in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. And if we can get them back one time, we can get them back 1,000 times. Many have not been back. And when they come back to campus, they are in awe with what they see. Oh, I only had one building when I was here in 1972, or two buildings in 1974, right? And now they see what we have. We really are an amazing institution. We are a comprehensive university. 56,000 students. I mean, there's nothing better. So those are the types of things that we're doing to get people back. And then they bring their friends and they talk about it with their family members. And that just breeds more and more success.
I think it's time for some rapid fire.
One particular thing, it's everything together, making sure we're all on the same page.
So I think it's time for some rapid fire, Jake and Johnny.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Alrighty, Johnny, you're up.
So, Johnny, what you got?
So we'll start off easy. I want to know, what's your favorite place to eat on campus for you?
8th Street Kitchen.
There we go.
I love the variety, and I love the fact that I can walk around and talk to students. My wife was in Charlotte for about 2 months while my daughter was getting ready for her second baby. So I ate in 8th Street Kitchen pretty regularly. So it's nice to go over there, sit down with students, and have a nice conversation. The food is great, but also the company is great.
Keeping it in the spirit of athletics, obviously you mentioned that it's a team game. Everyone's your favorite player, but who's been one athlete that's really stood out to you thus far?
They're all amazing. I don't have favorites. It's like asking your mom, okay, which one of my siblings are the favorite?
Good
You're
point.
all my favorite.
Oh, thank you, President Jessell. But I
just
know
like my students. You're all my favorite. You are all part of my favorite students.
Let's go.
But let's talk about something different then. Prior to your presidency at FIU, if you had to pinpoint your favorite memory of FI athletics, whether it was a game, whether it was an announcement, whether it was winning a tournament, championship, etc., what was your favorite memory at FIU athletics prior to your presidency?
Okay, I will tell you. There are two. It was in 2015 September when FIU was playing UCF at UCF. And I know that because we were at a Board of Governors a Board of Governors meeting, and several of us drove from Gainesville to Orlando so we could be there for the game. At halftime, the score was 14-3.
Mm-hmm.
And during halftime, I went over to the president's box and I was interacting with, our colleagues, and they were very pleasant. Oh, better luck next year. You guys are playing, well, but I'm sure you'll improve over time. And I remember telling my counterpart at UCF, well, it's only halftime. We still have another half to play. And we did. And we came back with a vengeance, and we beat them 15-14, which means they didn't score a single point in halftime. And I remember getting a call from my colleague. I got an email from my colleague's wife who had given me a UCF pin that I could wear on my FIU straw hat. And she said, I want to give this to you as a remembrance, but take it in stride. So that was amazing to come back with that win. I mean, it was just, truly incredible. And it shows that we don't give up when we're playing. We can be down big time at half, but we never give up. And that shows you that we can do it when we need to. And then the second is right here. I wear this ring literally every day. And you can see how it's beat up quite a bit. And this is the 2015 Conference Championship ring for women's swimming and diving. I am so proud of that team. My son was a swimmer in college. And so swimming has always been a big part of my life. And I followed the team literally from my first arrival at FIU. Coach Randy and the whole coaching staff do a great job with our swimmers and our divers. So that was a proud moment when we won that championship. And I remember coming to campus when they returned to campus. We just had a great celebration, and that's a memory that you could never give up. And it just can't get better than that. Maybe when we win and soon the National Football Championship. I'll wear a second ring. I'm not going to give this one up, but maybe on the left side, I'll be wearing that ring.
That is a crazy script to see FIU win the championship. I didn't know you had the script for the college football season. That's awesome.
One thing, President, I want to ask you: Are you a fan of other professional sports teams in Miami? The Heat, Panther, Dolphins.
I like all the teams because I'm a native of South Florida. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. Going back to 1972 when the Dolphins really hit it with their undefeated season and the great players there. So of course I love the Dolphins. I mean, the Heat have been amazing. The Marlins are amazing. Soccer is truly incredible now. I'm really getting into the Inter Miami CF with Messi there. And as I said earlier, I have not been a big soccer fan only because it's not something that I grew up with. And now you really see that sport taking off. So I'm really a fan of that team and all the players. They have some really, really great players. So that's building up that excitement.
And then final question here is Panthers versus Sunblazers. What do you think is the better name and logo? If you had to choose one or the other.
What's the better name and logo? That's a tough one. Of course, it's the Panthers. This is Panther territory. The Panthers are in South Florida. Exactly.
Amen to that.
I don't even know what a Sunblazer would do. Do they even have a paw?
I don't know. They had a funny mascot though, and I believe the game against Jacksonville State, they're going to have sort of a way back Wednesday kind of deal where they'll bring back the Sunblazers, put it on the helmets as a decal. That'll be cool. But
listen, I love that. We have a beer brand with the Sunblazers. Nostalgia is great, but in terms of branding, everybody knows what a Panther is. Everybody knows what a Panther can do. Everyone knows the strength of a Panther. And I don't think people think of Sunblazers as strength and champions. Panthers are. FIU Panthers certainly are.
Well, hang on. A personal request for me. Panthers versus Golden Panthers, right? Now, what about that?
Well, number one, I think it's redundant. All Panthers are golden, so straight Panthers.
Okay. All right. Well, fair enough. President Jessell, you've been awesome. We can't thank you enough for hopping on and spending some time with us. I'd like to, as we always do, give you the floor as we start to close out here. Now would be the time for you to, if you have anything you'd like to say to the students, fans, alumni, anything about FIU and FIU athletics, now would be the time.
Well, there's a Beach Boys song, "Be True to Your School." So I want you to be true to FIU. As students, work your hardest, be your best, never give up. And as alumni, come back and come back often. We need you. We need you to come in and meet with our students, mentor them, give them tutorials. We want you to hire them. We want to make sure that they're successful, and they're going to create great jobs. So support FIU, come back often, and love us all as Panthers. We're a great Panther family.
Oh, well, that was great, President Jessell. And again, we can't thank you enough for spending some time with us today. It's been a pleasure, and who knows, maybe we'll bring you back soon to talk a bit more about FIU as the college.
I'm happy to come back. This has been a great honor, a great opportunity, and a lot of fun. And it's great to talk about FIU. It's great to talk about our successes. And we're only 50 years young.
Right.
Wait till you see what happens over the next 50 years. I mean, come on. You look at the other institutions that were ranked ahead of us, they have 150, 200 years on top of us.
Right.
Yeah, where could we be in 200 years? You can't even imagine how great we're going to be.
Reminds me of the conversation you had with all the alumni at Monty's not that long ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Talking about the future of FI athletics. And it is bright, and we all can't wait to see what the future of FIU and, of course, FIU athletics holds for us. President Jessell, you've been awesome. We can't thank you enough. So I'll close it up. Kevin, Jonny, I think we did a great show today. And as always, until next time, paws up.
Paws up, Panthers. Paws